welcome to our third iteration of 25 Jumpstart. I'm so excited to have you all with us this morning. We have a great topic and an amazing panelist for us this morning. And so I'm going to stop sharing my screen and do my introductions here. Welcome, everybody. Trish, are you with us? There she is. There's the
Good
phenomenal Trish
morning.
San Juan. Good morning, Trish. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you so much. And so, yes, this is our third iteration. Amy Core kicked us off with 25 Jumpstart on Monday with an amazing conversation regarding listings and great takeaways for how you can up your listing game and working with sellers. Paul Blackburn kind of carried the torch on Wednesday with a phenomenal conversation on our buyer game. And Trish is with us today to help us have a discussion on prospecting, building a true referral business, and everything that comes with that. Trish had a phenomenal year in 2024, pretty much doubled your business that year. During our prep call and our conversation, 100% of your business comes from referrals and repeat clients and past clients. But before we jump into kind of some of our questions, one of the main things that came away from our conversation, myself and Trish, was a goal in 2025, which is to take the angst and the new definition of the word prospecting. So often when we say that word and we talk to brokers and we say, are we doing our prospecting or how are we doing our prospecting? It kind of gives that like, oh, I got to do that. And it's a tedious task and all of those things. And so I want to, before we jump into this, kind of break down the word prospecting, the activity. And Trish, I'd love to throw it to you because I thought you had an amazing way of kind of looking at that and kind of share with us what prospecting means to you and kind of getting over that angst of it being a tedious task.
Yeah, thanks. Well, we talked about this yesterday, and yeah, I started by being brutally honest and sharing that I hate the word prospecting. It just, to me, when I think of prospecting, I think of consciously, sitting down and doing activities for the sole purpose of drumming up business. And it sounds miserable to me.
Yeah.
Or as my boys would say, prospecting is cringe.
Totally. Yeah. I've got two young boys, 9 and 10 years old. I hear that word all the time.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
And so
Yep.
how do you get over that mindset of like, because I know you prospect, I know you reach out to people on a regular basis. How do you get past that concept that this is just me calling and asking for business?
Yeah, definitely. It's funny because I do a really great job of fooling myself that I don't prospect. Because when I think of it, I'm like, oh, prospecting? No way.
Yeah.
But my idea of prospecting is doing things that I enjoy and things that I think bring value to my clients. So I'm very ninja in the base of my business. And so I just try to keep in flow with my clients. And my idea of, I guess, the closest I come to prospecting is I do like cap gifts. I love to shower my clients with joy or help them in some way. So cap gifts that I do around the holidays, I love to visit my sphere. And for some of those people, it's the only time I see them throughout the year. So, I want to make it meaningful and impactful. And I make batches of glog, which is like mulled wine. And I bottle it and I put a custom label on it and I deliver it to my clients. And, it's an excuse to go and visit them and, have a nice conversation with them. And then I'll probably follow up, by text with maybe some things we talked about. I've also done, I'm a green realtor. So, and that's a big part of my life. And so I try to do something big around Earth Day. So I've done like natural home cleaning kits where I'll drop those off for my clients. So things like that. Um, Also client events. So I really try to get that face to face with my clients, but not have it be, all about business. But then, obviously they see me as a realtor and it just reminds them that I'm here for them. Uh, I pair up a lot of times with Kyle Gillespie. He's my proper rate loan officer. And so we work really well together. And so he helps me with some of my client events. And so we'll do like one big one a year. And then I'll do like some small ones kind of peppered in. Like one of my favorite ones that I do is a fall centerpiece workshop where I have about a dozen ladies and around the holidays, we'll put together fall centerpieces. And I did a around the world beer tasting last year, and that was really fun, kind of getting my, 20 something renters out to celebrate the end of dry January. So things like that, just that are fun. And then another one that I started this last year and I found I got really great response is I shoot just like a funny or like a goofy birthday video, and it's generic, but it kind of seems like it's for that person. And I'll send it to people on their birthday. And like I said, I've gotten really great response on that one. And because, who doesn't love getting a birthday video on their birthday?
Totally. No, I love so much about what you talked about, where takeaways and strategies to kind of grow your business and add to your pipeline or your prospecting stuff. And so often when we think of that, the angst is, okay, I need to send e-campaign, or I need to send a drip campaign, or I need to, it's strength in numbers. And the more outreach I do, the more opportunities I get. The ninja concept, which you said you've gone through, we have a lot of ninjas on this call right now, is truly work with people who know, like, and trust you, right? Who have a personal connection and a relationship with, where you are the relationship broker. Everything you just listed off there, as far as opportunities to get in front of people and be seen, are things that are genuine to you, authentic to you, that you enjoy doing or have some passion behind it. That's not a task, right? That's something that you wake up and you're excited to go and do, right? My big theme for 2025 is positivity, right? No negativity. Anything that brings negativity, I'm trying to stay away from as much as possible and ground myself to stay in a positive mode. When you put yourself in a position to do things you enjoy, that brings value to somebody on the other side, or it could just be a smile, right? And that's a lot of what you're doing. I love the birthday idea. The goofy videos on the birthday, or the personal note on the birthday, I think is brilliant. So often we get stuck in a digital world, which is just, I get on Facebook or social media, says it's your birthday, and I mark on your timeline, happy birthday. I'm one of 250 people who do that. You're probably one of one who sends a goofy birthday message, right? And it's memorable, and it's brilliant. It's beautiful. And so let's stay in that lane with kind of going above and beyond. A lot of what Amy and all of us talk about here at is that unreasonable hospitality, that going that extra mile, that being that broker forever. And so that's kind of the theme of everything that we're talking about here. Let's break down a little bit before we go into this. It's hard sometimes when we talk about prospecting and procuring business, it's hard to break the line between when we're prospecting versus when they're a buyer client or a seller client. And so I always look at the steps of a sales flow. And so for me, I look at, there's 4 steps to a sales flow, right? There's marketing, prospecting, active clients, and under contract clients, right? You guys are marketing to everyone, everywhere you go, and everything that you do. Just going to get a cup of coffee in the morning and talking to somebody, I'm marketing. Once they raise their hand or have a conversation with you that goes down the road of real estate, they now become a prospect, right? Once we sit down and we have the conversation with them, or a consultation on a buy side, list side, tenant, landlord, and then they become an active client once we get that signed. What we're going to talk about today is prior to that active client, right? Once we're marketing and we're putting them in that prospecting bucket. And so I just wanted to preface it a little bit with that. If you could share with us, 1 or 2 actions that you take after a successful prospecting interaction to build that trust, to ensure that your prospect sees you as that go-to realtor, or the one of one instead of one of 12 brokers that they know. What are a couple of activities or actions that you do to kind of solidify that relationship?
Well, first, whatever the initial interaction is. So if it's with somebody new, I will follow up with a text, just let them know how much I enjoy talking with them and thank them for their time. And then if there was something that we talked about, maybe it was, like a great restaurant that I love in their neighborhood, or, a sale going on at a store that I think they would like, I'll follow up with that, just so, they don't think I'm just all about business. Um, and if somebody referred them, I'm doing the same thing to that person too, thanking them so much for thinking of me, and just letting them know how much I enjoyed talking with that person, and, how grateful I am that they thought of me. And then once we get to the point where, that person says, oh, I may be interested in doing something, then the first thing I like to do is talk through my process and just say, the first thing, that if it's okay with you, I like to have a conversation and talk through your situation, kind of your needs, and, make sure that this is a good thing. And then also that I'm the right person for you too. And I think that's important. Or if I'm not, I can always help you find that person too. But just making them feel like not pressured, I think is really important.
I agree. I think that's probably that when I was in sales, that was always the most important piece for me, right? In the education and kind of the how do I explain the process before we get to showings or before we get to signing an agreement, right? In the new world we're in right now, we can't even show without that agreement. And so it's one that the education process, the not rushing them. So much of our business in is a race to the finish line, right? We get a call from somebody, I want to go see a property, we jump in our car and we run and go show it to them. We've got to be willing to slow down and just say, time out, let's talk about everything. Let's make sure you know exactly what you're looking for. One of the lines I used to use a lot of the times is, my job's to put you in your dream home, in your perfect home, right? If that's, I'm not trying to sell you the first house we look at. If we have to look at 500 homes, that's my job. That's what I will do. I want to make sure you feel extremely comfortable and confident with it. That's being the relationship broker, right? Rather than just picking the phone up and running out the door. And I think that's really, really important on that end of it. And so I love that. Let's move on to another one. So what prospecting techniques or activities did you do? So let's talk about kind of as you've been in the business over the years and kind of things that you've done in prospecting in the past that you've gone back to the lab, so to speak, and said, how do I make this better and tweak it and maybe drop it all together or improve my technique on that? Give me a few examples of some of the things that you've done over your career that have kind of sharpen your axe for cutting down that tree and making sure you have the best opportunity possible to solidify this prospect.
So I came from the rental world. That's where I got my base in real estate. And something that I used to do is I was the one agent who, when somebody would move into their home, I would write them a card, just kind of welcoming them to their new home and letting them know how much I enjoyed working with them. And, if there's anything I can do for them now in the future, to reach out. And I found a local artist that did these watercolors of Chicago skyline. So, I hoped it was something they would keep around and then just remember our time together and then hopefully remembered me in the future. So I did that. And then I found another artist that did custom cards that had their address in it on a map in the shape of a house. So I replaced it with that. And again, these are my renters. So people, I'm not doing like a closing gift with, I want to do something that they can keep. And then from there, a few years ago, I graduated into houseplants. So as you can see, I love plants. And a lot of times when I'm meeting with my clients for the first time, it's by Zoom like this, and it's in my home. And so they can see that. And so for these renters that I work with, they, a lot of times this is their first home that they're moving into. These are new grads with the company I work with. And so like the last thing that they're getting usually is a plant. And so by me dropping off something like that, along with a branded care card and, another card that says, welcome to your new home. I hope that when they're taking care of this plant, they're thinking of me, and, it's not just something they can toss in the garbage. I know when somebody gives me a plant, when I'm going around watering my plants, I think of that person when I'm watering it. So and so many times I've heard when I've given somebody this, oh my gosh, I've been meaning to get a plant. So, it is actually something that people can use. And like I said, won't just be tossed in the garbage.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I think it's brilliant. I think when we put this question together, and even when I asked you the question in our prep call the other day, my brain wants to go to, what are the prospecting things you did in the past that you're not doing now? Are how do I get that client? What do I do to find them in the beginning, right? Almost cold clients. What I loved about your answer is it's the end of a transaction is the beginning of the next transaction. That's sometimes, in a lot of ways, my best prospecting activity. And so leaving them feeling like they had an incredible experience, they loved everything about working with you, they want to jump on the roof and scream to all their friends and family how amazing and wonderful you are, and then making it personal so that it stays with them throughout that process. Prospecting is a 24/7 lifelong challenge in sales for us, and it's one that we have to make sure we're prospecting in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end of kind of that sales flow in that process. And so I love the way you answered that question, and then making everything personal, I think, is really brilliant on kind of how you do it. We did have a question in the chat. Would you be able to share the link for the custom cards that you put
Uh,
together?
you mean the second one? Oh boy. Uh,
I'll have
Honestly,
Megan clarify it a little bit, but then yeah, Megan, if you throw it in the chat exactly, or I don't know if you were talking about the time or so the second
the
option that you
second
have.
one, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So actually, I found this person on Etsy, and I've
Oh,
stopped using them for a number of years, so I would have to see if I can dig them up. But I think if you looked up new home map address, I bet you could find it. But I'd reach out to me though, email me if you have trouble finding. I'm happy to help.
amazing. Thank you so much. All right, so let's talk about a lot of the challenge with real estate in general is that we set goals, we set annual goals, we chase those annual goals all the way along the lines. Our prospecting is what helps us get there. It's in real estate when we lose opportunities, we feel it like I always say the analogy, we feel like a piano falling on my head, right? So losing a client, losing a prospect. Let's talk a little bit about what that process looks like for you. It's happened to all of us. If a prospect chooses to work with another agent, how do you reflect on that experience to identify improvements in your prospecting process? Tell us a little bit about
Mm.
your mindset with that.
Yeah, I mean, this is not great, right? To be rejected basically is
Right.
what it is. It doesn't feel good. I hope that it doesn't happen very much in my career, but it does happen. And first, I do allow myself a minute to feel bummed, but a minute, not a long time. I'm a very positive person, and I feel like if you dwell on something negative, it's just going to hang on you, and it's going to bring you down. So it's not worth it. I don't ask my clients why they chose somebody else because I don't want them to feel like I'm confronting them. I don't want them to be on the defensive. So instead, what I do is I reach out to them and I, thank them for their time. And, I'm just very grateful that they gave me the opportunity. And I, let them know I understand, I'm sure you picked the right person for you. And I also understand that it may not be me. It just might be somebody was a better fit for what they were looking for. There was something that they felt like that other agent had specialized more or something. So that I think helps me keep positive about it and not feel like I need to ask them. And also, too, I think it's really important that we realize that, okay, yes, this person is not going to work with us right now. They've let us know that, but it doesn't mean that they can't refer us. And, they might have really liked you, but they just found a better fit. And, especially if they really liked you and they know somebody else that they think would be a good fit, well, I think they would be happy to refer you then and almost feel, especially if you respond in a positive way and, in an encouraging way, I think that would encourage them even more to want to refer you. So I've had that happen before. And recently, actually, I had a client who didn't choose me, chose somebody else. And I let her know. I said, yeah, I'm sure you chose the right person and I'm happy for you and I wish you success. And then I invited her to an event and she came. So I was, just really impressed that she said yes to that.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to approach it. I really do. It's that positive mindset. It's the I'm going to take a minute, take a deep breath, let it sink in because nobody likes being rejected in business, in life, in general, right? And so to take that minute to just ground yourself, kind of take a deep breath, swallow, and then you make the phone call where it is the last conversation I want to have with you, even without me working with you, I want to leave it on a positive note, right? I want to leave it where we left things on good terms. We left the door open for a continued relationship and ultimately future referral business, right? It's that I'm sure you chose the right broker for you. I wish you all the best. It's they feel almost guilty not working with you, right? We've heard Mike Golden say it all the time about cap gifts, and that's something that you use where guilt is a huge motivator for people where they feel like you did an amazing job, you have the experience, you have the sales background, you have all the tools that would have made you the right broker, it just didn't fit today with what that was. And they feel guilty of all the time and expertise that they took from you. And if there's an opportunity to help you in your business in the future, that's how you grow the true referral business that you've had. How you get 100% referral business. And so I love that response and that answer. Thank you very much for sharing that. Let's talk a little bit about tools, systems, things like that we have at Properties. We offer so much in our industry with technology and tools and resources. Sometimes it's one where it's almost intimidating how much there is and how do I get started with it. Share a little bit with us on what you see as the best tools that you utilize in your prospecting efforts and how you use those tools.
Well, our CRM, we have a phenomenal CRM, and I feel very lucky that we have that at our fingertips. And so I use it. And it's a big way that I keep organized in my business and like reaching out to the people that I need to be reaching out to. And how what the main feature that I use in doing that is the notes feature. So if I send somebody a gift or if I invite them to an event, I'm putting that in the notes so that when I'm looking back at that person, I can see, okay, I've done this and this and this, because I want to be also varied in what I do. I don't want to just be sending somebody gifts all the time. And so there's that. And actually, this past holidays when I was visiting my clients, a lot of them, it was the first time I had met their dog. And so I was like taking notes of like, oh, their dog names and then putting them in my CRM. So next year I can walk in and, greet the dog. But things like that. Um,
I love that. That was like one of my favorite things that you said in our prep call yesterday. So often it's remember birthdays, house anniversaries, kids' names, but pets are people's fur babies. They just are. They have such love for their pets and their animals. And if you can ground that in a personal way by setting those reminders, I thought that was a brilliant idea.
yeah, thanks. And then this one sounds really simple, but I love it, is our brand, like our love logo. I love it. And actually it was one of the things that drew me to add. I loved our advertising and I loved the love logo, and I love, the message that it gives. I love the way it looks. I love it's by a local artist. And I don't have a logo myself. And so I lean on this love logo. And what I think that does for me is it's not an in your face, it doesn't say app properties, but it's linked with app properties and people associated with it. So I feel like I don't want to make my business all about business, in my relationships. So I feel like it's a subtle way that I can remind people that, oh, yes, I'm in real estate. I'm a realtor with app properties. And so what that looks like is, I have first that magnet on my car. So, when they're seeing me in my car at showings, they see it. And then I'm writing them a note and they see it on the card, the love logo. And then all the way through to the end of the transaction with the buyer, I'm putting that keychain on their keys. And so, just having that brand recognition. And then obviously it doesn't end there. When I'm, continuing to keep in touch with them, I'm incorporating that love logo in, some of the touches. So like with cap gifts, one fall I delivered mums and I put a little sign in them with my card that said fall in love. And or lucky in love on scratch offs around St. Patty's Day. So things like that, a subtle way of reminding them, but being able to, make a touch without making it obvious.
Brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. In the chat, tell me if you catch a theme in everything that we're talking about here today and kind of what Trish does in growing her prospecting business and her referral business. I think a lot of the times we talk about technology, people assume it's a set it and forget it system that's going to work for you. What I love about how you answered that technology question is everything is about the relationship, right? Whether it's the CRM, it's making notes. Yeah, exactly. Theme is personalized. Thank you. It's making notes so that you can connect with somebody on that personal level and grow that relationship. That's the fastest way to grow your business. It's the fastest way to grow a true referral generated business. And so thank you for sharing some of that with us. All right, we've got a couple more questions because I know we're running a little low on time. What's your go-to response when a prospect challenges you on why they should work with somebody else instead of you? Do you have kind of a go-to response that you use?
Well, first I'll say I don't want to toot my own horn, but I don't get challenged very often. And honestly, I think it's because my clients are referred to me or they've worked with me in the past. So I do have that. But yes, there have been times. And first, I'll lean on my experience. Excuse me. I've been in real estate now for 20 years. And what you get in 20 years, you can't learn that in a classroom, and you can't buy that as a tool that there's so much that you see in 20 years that you're not broadsided and you can bring to the table for that client then. Um, and then app properties technology, I feel like it's just unparalleled, and yes, that sounds great, but the client is obviously going to be thinking of, well, what does that do for me? And so how that translates to them is that I am, the app properties is making things easy for me so that I am not working on like that work in the back end. I can be focusing on what's important to them, which is being in front of them and, helping them to get to the finish line and what they're trying to do.
Awesome. Perfect. Perfect. All right. One more question for you before we close with your pro tip. When you have your positive interaction with a prospect or close a successful transaction, how do you ask for referrals? How do we ask? Do you come right out and make an ask, or what is your approach for growing your referral business, which you've done a phenomenal job of, right? You've doubled your business in 24 from 2023. It's 100% referral business. How are we asking for that referral?
Uh, I don't know if you'll like my answer to this one, but
I love your answer to this one.
I don't ask. So that's my answer. And it's not that I'm scared to ask, or I don't have the ability to ask, or I don't have the people to ask. It's just that I have established these relationships with these people, and it's not just a business relationship, it's a friendship. And I want to make sure that they see it as a friendship. And I feel like if I ask for business from them, they are going to think that, oh, wait a minute. No, this is actually a business relationship. And she sees this as a business relationship. So for me, I just keep in flow with them. And, I hope that if they believe in what I do and they have the opportunity, that they will refer me or use me again. But like I said, I don't want to have something that I do in such a small thing, tarnish the relationship that I've built with them.
Yeah, and I think that's a really authentic, genuine answer. And truthfully, I have no qualms about the answer. I think it's brilliant because of how you set the process from your first interaction with them to the end, where it is truly all about the relationship. I don't think there's something wrong with asking for the referral. I think, there's a lot of people who do it in many, many different ways out there. I think if you're a true relationship broker, most of the times your consumer, your client opens up the door for you to ask that, where you're at that closing table, or you're giving them that house plant at the end of it and just kind of solidifying, the cherry on top of the sundae for the end of that transaction. Most of the time they're thanking you. They're telling you what an amazing job you did, how incredible that was. And sometimes that just opens the door to, I greatly appreciate working with the opportunity to work with you, the continued friendship that we have. If you ever have a friend or family member that I can service the same way that I've serviced you, I would love the opportunity to do that. It's not cold. It's not harsh. It's not asking, but I don't think you need to just jump there. I love the business that you've built. It's truly working for you. You are continuing to get those referrals, and it's authentic to you. And so I think that's absolutely brilliant. So thank you for sharing that. All right. It is 9:30. We are right on time. Trish, you are awesome. You are dead on the minute. We wrap all of these calls with a pro tip, leave you walking away with something positive from this. I think there were a lot of great nuggets that Trish shared today. I can't thank you enough, but leave us with your pro tip of the day on something that people can walk away with.
So my pro tip is it's really mindset in this business. When I'm looking at somebody, I'm not thinking what business can I get from this person, but more what can I do for this person? And so I think if you come at it like that, you are just showering them and doing things for them, and the business will come. So my motto that I've always worked with is, if you work hard and with good intention, you'll do well. And it certainly has worked for me.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think it's owning your business model. It's truly who is genuine to you. It's understanding there's enough opportunities out there for everybody. And if this person doesn't fit my business and kind of how I do my business with wanting to have that true relationship, it's okay if it doesn't work out. And it truly is about that relationship. I'm going to throw one question from the chat at you, if you don't mind, Trish, which is, what about, because everything you've talked about through this, and I think that's where this question's coming from, is positivity, having that, in flow, like you said, with your clients, having everything run extremely smoothly. What do you do when a deal's bumpy? How do you recover from that? It could be bumpy from, they lost out on a number of different properties or something like that, and they're just losing that flow or positivity in that transaction. How do you ground them and bring them back?
What do you mean bumpy? There's no bumpy in this business.
No, never, right?
Okay. I think this is where I pull out my pom-poms and I cheer them on, and I just commend them for keeping a level head And a lot of times, I actually just had one that was, not great. There were just, I felt like at every step there was something. And, I commended them in the end. I said, not everybody could have made it to the finish line like you did, and with level heads. And it really is because you kept a level head throughout this. And I really commend you, and look at your success because of it. This is not the thing, you're not going to think about these things in a year when you're enjoying your home, but not everybody would be enjoying that home. So, props to you.
No, I think that's great. I think a lot of it comes from how you start, right? How you start that process with the education, with kind of explaining to them all the potential bumps that are going to come in along the road so that it's not a surprise to them when it comes. It's setting that expectation that this might happen, and then we might run into this opportunity might, or this challenge might come about, and here's what we'll do. We'll just roll with it and we'll get through it. It is a bumpy business. This is a hard business. It's not easy. There's going to be bumps along the way. The advice that you're providing today is stay positive. It's all about the relationship. People feed off of positivity, right? If they feed off of negativity and positivity. If I'm a negative person and I'm like, the world is coming to an end out there, my clients are going to pick up on that. If my mindset is positive and smile and work our way through, or like you said, bring out your pom poms and cheer them along and commend them on what they're doing, it changes, just kind of the chemical balance of their body and how they're thinking of everything. And so I think this was I thank you so much for sharing this. I want to close with, again, prospecting is not a four-letter word. It's not a terrible task. It's not a horrible thing. We need to change in our brains and in our minds what that means for us. Know that we need to plant the seeds for the harvest in the future, right? What we do today feeds next quarter's business and then beyond. And so really start thinking about those, how do I get my mindset right with prospecting? What are my activities? Build on the positive first. Start getting uncomfortable in the uncomfortable on your prospecting. But really, I always say some people like to start with the hardest thing first in the morning. I like to build momentum personally. I like to start with something really positive, whether it's my morning routines and things like that, and then I can roll into the harder things. But make sure you're grounded, you're happy, you're healthy, you're good, and you got sunshine today. It's a little bit warmer out today. I think it's actually in the 30s, which is lovely. Trish, thank you so much for your time today and sharing everything with us. Remember, everybody, we have another round of 25 Jumpstart next week. We will be back Monday morning. Amy Core will be leading Monday morning's meeting on listings. She has the Jaegers with us on Monday to share all of their conversations on how to build a successful listing business. And so we'll see you Monday morning. Enjoy the weekend. Good luck with everything today, and have a great one, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Have a great
All
day,
right.
everybody.